right, just a little note before this episode gets going. I just want to make it very clear that Derek and Scott, who are the names that I use for the coworker in the video, are the same individual. I use them interchangeably, and you'll probably hear me go back and correct myself and call him Derek after I refer to him as Scott. But I just want to make it very clear that his name Scott and his name Derek, they are both interchangeable. So with that being said, they are the same individual, and I just wanted to make that clear before the video gets going. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoy this episode. Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Colin, back at it again with another episode 20 of A New Direction, the podcast where I talk about all sorts of things, a variety of topics, and just give my advice and opinions about different things. And I just want to start out by saying first that I apologize for the lighting. I got my bedroom set up, I got my new bed and my nightstand and everything, so we're getting there with that, almost completed, just got to get the walls and everything done. But because of that, I had to move my ring light out of here, and so I'm kind of going to have to figure out what the lighting conditions are going to be like going forward. So I do apologize for that, but hopefully this will be bearable. I'm using the notepad page on my screen to be the light pretty much, along with my lamp over there. But with that being said, today we've got a little bit more of a special episode. I know I said that I would do something kind of special for episode 20, and so today I'm going to be talking about some of the stories that one of my coworkers, who we will kind of get into why that's relevant and why I chose this coworker. But some stories that I've been told by one of my coworkers that I thought were very funny and very interesting, and I'm hoping that it will make for a good video. And so we'll dive right into that in a second, but like usual, we're going to do the music recommendation first. And so today I'm going to be recommending an album, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. It's called De Prestgis Angelorum. It sounds like a Latin phrase. I'm not really sure what it means, but it is by a band called VI, so Six, I guess. And they're a French band, as far as I know. They're members. It's made up of members from two other black metal bands, and so this is a black metal album, like a more modern black metal album. Definitely kind of has a more Deathspell Omega inspired, very dissonant and dark sound to it, which I'm a big fan of. This is actually my favorite, like a newer modern black metal album. I believe it came out in 2018, and this is their most recent release as far as I know, so hopefully maybe some more material will be coming out here in the future. But this is a really solid album. I like it. All the tracks on it all the way through are really good. It's definitely, like I said, very dissonant and dark sounding. Kind of got that Deathspell Omega vibe going on. And so it's definitely more modern sounding black metal. It's not going to be like Mayhem or anything, but I really like it. The riffs are really catchy and very satisfying, especially track 7, which because the tracks are in French and the titles are really long, I really don't want to butcher any more pronunciation, so I'm just going to be referring to them by track number. But my standout tracks for this episode are 2, 4, and 7. 7 is probably one of the coolest sounding just black metal tracks in general that I've heard in a long time. It's very up tempo, very aggressive and heavy, and the riffs are really, really good and catchy. So I really like that track. That's probably my favorite on the whole album. But 2 and 4 are also really good, and then all the tracks in between are great as well. So you can't really go wrong with any other ones on this album. And like I said, it's black metal, but it's kind of got a different sort of spin on it. It's very catchy, different motifs and whatever throughout that are maybe not standard black metal, I guess. Even some thrashier and kind of groovy parts as well. So I'm a fan of this album all the way through. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. So a very strong release. And like I said, it's probably my favorite like modern black metal album. So I would highly recommend this to anybody who's trying to maybe find some new black metal, or who's never heard of this band, or just want something new to try out and listen to. It is a really good album, and I apologize for butchering the pronunciation that I'm sure I did. So with that being said, we're going to dive right in. And so, like I said, this is going to be an episode regarding some stories that I've been told over my time working with this individual. And so we're going to call him Derek, because that is my name of choice for this man. And so if your name is Derek, I'm sorry, because this guy might or might not do your name justice. We'll see. But his name, we'll just call him Derek. Derek is a 39-year-old male And he has been working at Firehouse for a pretty good long time now. He's been around longer than I have, and I learned a lot of the different things about running my particular position in the store from this guy, because he's really quick, he's really efficient, he's really fast. And he's a really good worker. He's a great coworker to have, and I'm very glad that I get to work with him as frequently as I do, because he does make the job a lot easier. He's quick, he's efficient, he doesn't really complain about anything. He just, does his job to the best of his abilities, and so that's really nice when, me also kind of being, in a similar way, trying to just get everything done. It's kind of nice to be able to work with somebody like that. But this person is also a very interesting fellow. He has a bit of a reputation for not necessarily being the most honest guy. He's honestly kind of known to tell a lot of stories, a lot of tall tales. And just in general, it's kind of hard to trust a lot of the things this guy says when it comes to actual important business, because you really can't be sure what he's saying is true or not. It's kind of ambiguous, I guess, and so it's really up to your determination in the moment to figure out if you really believe what he says, or if you just kind of take it at face value. But because of his uncanny ability to come up with just crazy stories, regardless if they're based in reality or if they're just completely fictional, they're still incredibly funny and interesting to listen to. And so I've got a few here today that he has told me over the time that I have worked at Firehouse. And there's quite a few here. I think I've got like 5. One of them's not really a story, but rather more of almost like a routine, like a habitual thing that he does, which I think is kind of funny. It's very much a quirky kind of thing that I associate with Derek. So, regardless, we are going to dive right into the stories here. And so, a few of these stories are going to require some context. So, first and foremost, we're going to be talking about a pretty basic sort of story. This one doesn't have as much substance to it, but I thought it was rather humorous because it almost kind of sums up exactly Derek's essence, I guess. And so the first story takes place, it's a night shift. It's fairly early on, so I usually go in about 3 o'clock, and we close at 9. So I would say this is probably 3 or 4. It's still daylight out. There's not a lot of business at this point in time, and so me and Derek are just kind of talking. We're standing on the line, and the line is fairly close quarters, so he's right next to me, and we're just kind of chatting, because I do often find myself talking to him because, like I said, he's full of interesting stories, and just you can have some very interesting conversations with him. And so we're just kind of sitting there talking, and I'm asking him questions, because one of the things I like to do is I just will ask him random questions and just see what all he has to say, because, like I said, he's good at these kind of storytelling sort of things, and so I like to kind of hear what he can come up with, or what he, has experience with, be it true or not. But I asked him if he had ever met any celebrities, and he honestly didn't take very long to ponder this question. He kind of looked at me for a second and immediately said, "Well, of course, yes, I've met some celebrities." And that was it. That was all he said. He did not tell me any celebrities. I kind of prodded a little bit. I was like, "Whoa, who all did you meet?" And he didn't really have anything to say to that, which I thought was kind of funny, because he seemed very adamant in the moment. He was like, "Yes, I have met some celebrities before." So I kind of expected him to have a story to tell about it, or some vivid recollection of a memory from the past. But no, he didn't say anything. He just said, "Yes, I've met some celebrities, of course." He almost said it of course I've met some celebrities. You haven't, it was kind of odd. I was like, "Well, is there anything else you have to add? Any sort of context, any details you can give me about this?" And no, that was it. He kind of just moved on very quickly. That was the end of that. Unfortunately, I did not find out what celebrities he met, and so that reminds me, maybe I should ask him again and see if I can get a follow-up. And so I know that was kind of a quick story, but I really do feel like it sums up his essence, because he's so quick to just answer these questions, and then there's nothing behind it. It's just like a facade almost. It's kind of creepy sometimes how stone faced his delivery is. Like he was like, yes, of course I met some celebrities, but then he failed to produce any sort of celebrities that he had actually met before. And so, that's a pretty quick example, but it kind of gives an idea of what interacting with him is like, kind of how he is. And so the next story is actually like a genuine story. And he told this to a few different people a few times over the span of this night. And this was actually the same day as when I asked him if he had met celebrities. I actually think this had happened beforehand, before I had asked him that. And so this was pretty funny, I thought. So I had asked him, like I said, I was kind of sitting there talking to him on the line, just we were making small talk, chit-chatting or whatever, and I asked him, I was like, have you ever seen a ghost before? Like, have you ever experienced anything paranormal? And this was one that he kind of thought about for a second. Like, he kind of seemed like he was searching his brain, opening up the filing cabinets in there. That's a SpongeBob reference if any of my viewers caught that. But he's opening up the filing cabinets in there, trying to kind of, gather his memories, if you will. Or maybe he's thinking of something he can tell me. It's a good I don't know. There's no telling. But he's kind of sits there for a second, and then he proceeds to tell me the story. So he asked me, he said, have you ever heard of Crybaby Bridge? Which Crybaby Bridge is like a local folklore tale of this bridge out in the middle of the kind of like the country. Like, I'm honestly not sure where it is, but it's like this bridge that has got like some folklore around it here in the local area. It's out kind of in a very rural area, a little far away from me, actually, maybe 15, 20 minutes maybe. So it's a little ways away in the rural area. But the story behind it apparently goes that some time ago, I don't know how long, but some time ago, like a woman and her daughter were killed on this bridge. And I'm not quite sure if it was like a homicide or a suicide or an accident. I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm not sure the details of the story behind Crybaby Bridge. But that is kind of what I've heard about it. And so it's something that prior to him asking me, I had heard the name, but I had never, heard much about it. So he kind of proceeded to tell me this. He said, so Crybaby Bridge, this mother and daughter got killed on this bridge back like 50 years ago. And, they say if you go out there at night, you can see the ghosts and like hear crying and all this stuff out there. And I was like, okay. So he proceeds to tell me that one time in the middle of like the summer, like he said it was in the middle of the warmer months. So I kind of assumed maybe it would have been in like June or July. He said it was pretty warm. He said that he went out to Crybaby Bridge and he didn't specify that it was nighttime, but that's kind of what I gathered based on the context he had given me. And so he said that he had gone out to Crybaby Bridge, and as he was walking, like, I don't know if was on the bridge. I think maybe he had been down, like, kind of under the bridge almost, like walking the creek bed that's under the bridge. He was walking that, and he said, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he got like a cold chill that just shook his whole body. Like, middle of the summertime. You're not going to get a cold chill walking around in the wilderness in the middle of the summertime. What are you, crazy? So he's telling me, he's like, I got this cold chill and I'm walking and I keep going. And he said that the cold chill kind of froze him up and kind of, took him aback for a second. But as he continues on, he's like, I was walking and I like looked up and I saw a ghost. He said he saw the ghost of a woman and a child. And that was really all he said about the ghost. And so naturally I pressed him. I was like, well, what did this ghost look like? Was it look like they look in the movies? And his direct response to that question was, have you ever seen a hologram? That's an interesting response to have you ever seen a ghost? So I was like, well, yeah, I am familiar with a hologram. Yes, I have seen a few science fiction films. And so he's like, yeah, it looked like that. It was just like a hologram, just right there, a mother and her daughter, just a baby or whatever. And it looked like a hologram, and there was the cold chill, and it was, the middle of the summertime, and I was on this trail bed, and I seen this hologram-looking ghost thing, and I was like, okay, like, did it do anything? Did it say anything? Was it creepy? Like how did you feel? And he was like, Well, I mean, no, it didn't really say anything. It just kind of stood there looking like a hologram, and that was that. And I'm like, you can't end the story there. You can't tell me, that you see a ghost in the middle of the wilderness and then not tell me what the ghost did, what the ghost looked like. What are you doing? You can't tell me that. You're giving me blue balls right now. So that's something you might find about this, actually. Scott's stories never seem to, add up, or so I kind of have a hard time, believing that, he actually saw a ghost. And, I know, I've said before, whether you believe in ghosts or not, I was still asking him about it. He told me this story. He sounded genuine. So, I don't know. I don't think he saw a ghost. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the next story. And so some things that we've got to get out of the way here about Derek is that he is very much a kind of like a country guy, he's got a really kind of thicker southern accent, and he's definitely like a country dude, like a redneck. You imagine him as being the kind of guy that does all the redneck engineering, like putting all this stuff together, with common hand tools and zip ties and just fixing shit with, magical southern skills or whatever. And so, this story definitely did not seem very true, at least upon face value, very out of the ordinary for Derek. And so I'm not quite sure what brought this up. I can't really remember, because this has been some time ago. This has been a few months ago at this point. Although this story is recurring, like it kind of comes around every now and again, every few months, and you kind of hear of it from, whether it be from Scott or from somebody else. Like this story does kind of come around and make the rounds. So anyway, Derek is he's talking to me, and we were talking about like school and stuff, because he knows I'm in college, and I was talking to him a little bit about school and stuff, I guess. And we were just, and a lot of the time, like these stories, they come from me just making small talk with him, and like he'll just seamlessly fit them into the conversation. It's like, I don't even have to ask him a question sometimes to provoke him to just like tell me a story. It's kind of interesting. It's just, he just seamlessly slips him into the conversation. It's like, damn, dude's got a way with words, I guess. But anyway, like I said, we were talking about school, or school was kind of the topic at the time. And Derek proceeds to tell me that Derek, who, like I said, he's almost 40 years old. He's working at Firehouse Subs for a very, very long time at this point. Derek tells me that he went to medical school. He tells me that, in fact, that he paid over $100,000 to attend medical school. And so naturally I'm like, okay, so you're working at Firehouse, you went to med school and you're working at Firehouse. And he didn't really have much to say to that. He was like, yeah, I guess I kind of got the vibe that maybe medical school didn't quite work out for him, but then he was saying he paid $100,000 to go to medical school, and it kind of was talking like he had completed it. And the icing on the cake was, we were discussing kind of how, like, the costs of that, like the breakdown a little bit. And he told me that one of his uniforms for this medical school, got Magnolia down there, he told me that one of his uniforms for this medical school that he attended, or, wherever he was going at the time, I'm not quite sure what it was, but he said that one of the uniforms that he had to wear, each one, and by the way that he was talking about it, he kind of described it as being reminiscent of like a biohazard suit. I'll probably put a picture up on the screen, the big like yellow or orange like suits or whatever that are supposed to be worn to protect you from biohazards. Yeah, he described it as kind of looking that way, and he said that each one was $12,000. And so, I'm like, well, do you what does it look like? And he was kind of talking to me. He's like, kind of described it, like I said, as like a biohazard uniform. I was like, well, do you have one? Do you still have any of them? And he was very quick to say no, he does no longer have any. After medical school and everything, and he never really did anything with that. He no longer had the suits. Very convenient, I would say, for his narrative. Definitely something that I'm a little skeptical of, to be sure. But yes, Derek is a medical professional, licensed from med school, but is also working at Firehouse Subs. So, side job? Like, is Firehouse like his career, and being like a physician is his side gig? Like, I don't really know, but he's doing it. He's doing medical things, I guess. He's a medical professional, and that actually reminds me of another story that I think is kind of ties in with this a little bit, being a medical professional. So, Scott, or Derek, I'm gonna have to censor this, but Derek has told me, like I said, he told me that he had been to med school, and this is something that he's told other people as well. One of my other coworkers, one of the managers, said that she almost died when she heard him say that, because he was telling a customer that he had gone to medical school. So not only do these stories that he tells, fly around the workplace between, us, as the coworkers, but he also tells the employees, but also the customers as well. So if you are a consumer or a customer, you are still not safe from the stories and the, things that Derek has to say. I'm not going to call it bullshit, but the things that he has to say. But anyway, the next story that is relevant to the last one, Derek told me one time that he had cut his finger off with the meat slicer not with the meat slicer. He told me he had cut his finger off with one of the knives in the back of house while he was slicing meat. And the way he described it, he said the knife was laying on the table and the sharp edge was facing out, and he brung his finger across and just cut it straight off. And he was so adamant in this story, and so his conviction was so apparent. He even showed me his finger. He held it up to me and said, "Do you see the scar?" And done it with his fingernail, and there was nothing there. There was no scar. There was no obvious place of stitches or anything. It looked like a perfectly normal finger with nothing wrong with it. Experienced zero trauma in its entire life. I was, I'm like, so, nothing happened to this finger. This was a mint condition finger, if you will. But he's pointing it out. He's like, you can see it right there where the blade went through and it chopped it straight through and cut it all off in my fingernail and everything. And I was like, really? And so he says, yes, I actually have pictures of it on my other phone that I don't have with me. And so naturally I'm devastated. I'm like, yes, I'm going to get to see some proof of what he's saying. And then he snatches the rug out from under me and says, I don't have it with me. It's on my other phone. And so naturally I'm like, this is, never going to get to hear the end of, I'm never going to get to see this evidence and hear the end of the story. But to my incredible surprise, a few weeks after I first heard about this, or it might have even been months later, he brings this other phone to work and says, Colin, I've got my other phone. I can show you the pictures of my finger. And I was like, hell yeah. I'm about to get to see this man's he's not lying. He actually cut his finger off. I'm going to get, that's kind of visceral, violent, seeing a picture of his cut off finger. But, at the same time, I'm like, this is proof. This is real life evidence that this man actually cut his finger off. This is not a story that he's making up and telling me. And he's like, I got to go get my phone out of the car or out of the truck or whatever. And so at the end of the day, or at least right before he was going to leave, I want to say this was a night shift for me, and he had been on day shift, but he hadn't quite left yet. His relief hadn't come in yet, and so he was still on the clock. And he's like, yeah, let me run out to the truck and get my phone real quick, and I'll show you the pictures. And I was like, all right, bet. So Scott runs out to the truck, and I'm going to have to censor this video so many times. Derek runs out to the car, or out to the truck, and gets his phone, his other phone, and with that being said, he comes back in with the phone ready. Like he's got the pictures pulled up and everything already as soon as he comes in the door. And he walks over to me and he just like holds it up. It was literally barely a scratch on his finger. Like he said he had cut his finger off. His fingernail, like he said he had, diagonally like cut it off. This was like a flesh wound. Like, 'tis but a scratch, bro. This was literally like a small, like, incision in his finger. And it was bloody, and it looked like it hurt. But, I've had cuts that bad before. Like, he was making it sound like he had literally sliced his whole finger off, and it was like a cut. So, to say that I was disappointed, my disappointment was immeasurable, is an understatement. I was not happy to see that. Well, I mean, I guess I was happy. Like, I'm glad he didn't actually cut his finger off, but like, he kind of disappointed me because he was saying he cut his finger off and he had not actually cut his finger off. But, I'm not really sure about, maybe I just didn't get a good look at the picture, but his finger was definitely still attached. So, I'm unsure. I'm a little skeptical, I must say. I think he might have been pulling my leg or BSing just a little bit. To say that it was cut off is a stretch. But, with that being said, that's going to transfer us into the last story of today's episode coming from Derek. And this might be the best story I think I've ever heard from him, bar none. Maybe one of the best stories I've ever heard in general. And so to set this up, me and Scott and Devin's actually here. So it's me, Derek, and Devin. It's to the point now. I'm not even going to censor this video. So Derek is Scott. Those are the names that are used interchangeably in this video. Although Scott, I don't even know if Scott is his real name because he said that that's like a fake name or whatever. So, he, whether or not it's his actual name or not is here nor there. But he comes in, and so me and Devin are out back just kind of killing time because there's really not a lot to do at this stage of the day because, we're just kind of dead. There's not a lot to do. And so me and Devin are just kind of out back chilling. And Scott comes out with us. And Scott starts smoking a cigarette. And Scott, like, just kind of out of nowhere, starts, he's starting to talk to us a little bit about just like some of his different experiences, like with the police and stuff. I don't know what kind of brought this up, and he was talking about the cops and everything, and he got onto the topic of like his closest kind of call or whatever with cops as far as just in general. And he proceeds to tell me and Devin this incredible story that I'm going to share with you now. So, Scott says that one day he is a commercial truck driver with a buddy. So he is driving an 18-wheeler with a big tractor trailer, him and this guy, and they're going up the interstate. And Scott is kind of talking about like, the trip is kind of long, they're kind of bored, kind of tired, and they don't really know what to do. They're getting bored, and they're kind of, I guess, just want something to break the monotony of their driving. So Scott tells me that him and his coworker decide to smoke some marijuana, a lot of marijuana, like concentrated marijuana. So, being a CDL or, a commercial driver with CDL, for one, I have a big feeling that smoking marijuana on the job is like not the right thing to do, not the right move. I don't know. It's kind of hard to really put a finger on that. But in my opinion, I feel like most commercial driving companies would not want their drivers smoking marijuana while carrying their payloads. But anyway, they smoke up, they get stupid, high, right? And Scott goes on to say that they were so high that they were like unable to drive. He said they're going down the interstate, and he said that they're really kind of like sketched out about having to drive because an 18-wheeler is big, they're going really fast, it's the interstate, there's a lot of traffic and everything, and he said they're kind of feeling sketched out when all of a sudden he said they look up the road, and he said all they can see are red and blue lights. Like he said they're all up the road, and they're on the interstate. He said this is like maybe a half mile, 3/4 of a mile away, but they can see the lights. There are a bunch of them. So naturally, Scott and their dude, they pull over with their payload off the side of the highway. Stupid high on this marijuana, and the icing on the cake of the story was when he told us what the payload was. He said that him and his buddy were driving stoned up the interstate with $30,000 worth of inflatables. Like, what does that even mean? Like what is the inflatable industry? Like you got bouncy castles in there, like you got like balloons, like what are you inflating? What does $30,000 worth of inflatables even look like? Like I guess, I mean, you got to travel, your payload's got to get where it's going, you got to get your stuff where it's going, but like inflatables, like what are you going to do? Like where are you going to take that? Like $30,000 worth of inflatables. Like why are they going, like, I have so many questions. Why are they driving stoned up the interstate with $30,000 worth of inflatables? Like, why are they driving with $30,000 worth of inflatables at all? I don't know. But that story, when me and Devin heard it, we were done. We were dead. We were like keeled over laughing because of how funny it was. It's like, and the thing is, Devin even said it after the fact. He was like, out of all the stories that Scott's told, this has to be like the most real one, like the most authentic one. He felt like, yeah, it was actually true. And so I maybe do believe that Scott actually did drive $30,000 worth of inflatables up the interstate while high on marijuana. But can it be said for fact? No. But I figured I would end off this episode with like Scott's like motto, or like his it's not like a motto, but it's like something he does every time he works. It is without fail. Every single time he works, this is what he does. It's like his routine or his habit or whatever. And so his big thing is double meat sandwiches. Like he makes double meat everything, and he particularly likes the turkey bacon ranch, which is what it sounds like. So he will double meat a large turkey bacon ranch and get a full pound of turkey on this sandwich. He will put 8 or 9 slices of cheddar cheese all the way down the length of it. On his bread, he will do mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato. He does bell peppers. He does cucumber. He does sauteed peppers, onions, mushrooms. He puts everything on there. He puts pepperoni on there. He puts a buttload of Italian seasoning on there. Like this is just like a huge sandwich. Like this is like an amount of food like you can't even fathom to look at. Like when you look at it, the sandwich is like literally that tall. Like it's huge. And he makes them like almost every time he works. He'll box it up, he'll take it home with him, and he says he'll eat it. And I mean, I believe it. I honestly do believe it. But like pepperoni with turkey and cheddar cheese and mushrooms and onions, like what? There's too much going on. And like I've talked about how picky I am. Like I don't eat like any of that. Like I like turkey, I like pepperoni. I don't know if I would like them together. I like cheddar cheese and I like Italian seasoning. I do, and I like mayonnaise. I don't like lettuce. I don't like tomato. I don't like bell pepper, cucumber. I don't like any of that stuff. And to put that all on one sandwich, like, does that not hurt your body? Like, do you not get heartburn or constipation or both? Like, I would shit out a brick if I ate that. Like, I wouldn't even be able to handle, like, I couldn't even eat that whole thing. But he says he will sit there and eat the whole thing in one bite. And so, he says a lot of things. It's hard to say whether or not that's true or not, but I believe it. I do believe that he eats that double meat sandwich every time he takes it home. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that with that being said, like, there's not much else I can really say. Like, Scott's the man. Scott's probably my most favorite coworker that I've ever had to work with, for the reason of, like I said, he's a very efficient worker and he has all these amazing stories to tell. And, I know I started out by calling him Derek and I kind of ruined it, but, we're going to keep that in the video, I think. We don't care. This is the New Direction podcast where everything is truly in a new direction. So we're going to keep it in the video. And I want to make it very clear. I'm not telling any of this or saying any of this because I'm talking bad on Scotty. I'm not trying to, defame him or slander him or anything. I am just literally repeating his stories, his words, and I think it's amazing. I think that it is absolutely fantastic that he shares these experiences, whether, like I said, whether they're true or not. They are very fun to listen to and hear in the moment, and I also got a good, solid episode out of it as well. So thanks to Scotty. Shout out to Scotty for providing the content for this episode. And I know I said I was going to do something kind of special for episode 20, and so I figured this would be kind of special. And I just want y'all to know I am working on some new type of content as well that should be coming out sometime here somewhat soon. I'm not 100% sure on a release date, but it will be a different kind of video from these. And it will probably be coming out on a weekend. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe next weekend, depending on how much work I can get done like this upcoming week. But with that being said, I appreciate you all watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. I am very appreciative of all the support. And I hope this video finds you all in a very positive mindset, a positive space. And if not, just know that you are stronger than your circumstances and you will make it through. But with that being said, this has been A New Direction. I'm Colin. Stay chill. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day or night or whatever time it may be. And I will see y'all next time. Thank you.